afternoon, everyone. Hello. Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio. I am Danielle Horoscova, and as always, I'm excited to be here with you. How's everyone doing? These energies, whatever is going on astrologically, is just so intense. Now, again, I don't know much about astrology, but I'm a water sign. And from what I'm hearing, this seems to be affecting us water signs a little bit more. I'm not sure, but whatever it is. So I'd love to hear your comments. How are you feeling? Are you noticing this? Is this doing anything different for you nowadays? Sometimes it enhances our intuition, and sometimes it just throws everyone for a loop. So I'm curious to know. So today we're going to do something a little different. I am inviting a very dear friend of mine to join me, and we're going to discuss supernatural living. So we are going to get into life as mediums and a little bit of our personal experiences in the world of mediumship and the psychic phenomenon that we live in. So it's yeah, this is something that I've been excited to talk about, and just going to put it out there. I do feel a bit vulnerable, but what we're doing right now is we are bringing awareness into extrasensory perception, gut feelings, intuition, highly sensitive people, just all of these things that really pertain to the majority of us. Some of us experience it more so than others, but there has been a outdated stigma wrapping surrounding this. I know I've been called Miss Cleo before, and I, it's it's done. It's done. Those days are done. So on that note, I would love to bring her in. So Deborah, Deborah, are you with us?
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Hello. So I have my beautiful friend, psychic medium, Deborah Meck on the phone. Deborah, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Ah, thank you so much for joining us. And I know this was a bit of a impromptu, and it's always a pleasure to connect with you. So today, it is an absolute joy to be able to bring some illumination to our lives as psychic mediums, and maybe go a little bit further behind the scenes as what does our daily life actually look like. It's kind of funny. It's highs, lows, wows, and all those things. So let's start there. Deborah, what do you think?
Yes, indeed. I'm getting the image, Danny, of a live wire. It's walking around like an open antenna and receiving messages impromptu. It can be standing in the grocery store line and you get a message for the person in front of you, and you decide whether it's appropriate or not to deliver this message. Always being respectful of other people's boundaries. So it's intense and it's really fun, as you know, to be this conduit, this middle person receiving and delivering.
Absolutely. And you
Yeah.
just reminded me of it, an instance where I was in a particular situation. I was in a bit of a bind. And this was before I was starting my professional mediumship. And yeah, it was spontaneous. It was hit or miss. Sometimes they'd come, sometimes I would hear them, right? And sometimes not so much. But I was in a bit of a bind, and all the odds were against me. I was purchasing a house, actually. So everything was against me. And I had this powerful, undeniable feeling run through me with such clarity and insistence that I I just had a quick, what do you have to lose? Let's go. And I followed the spiritual guidance. I followed the guidance and I said, "Hey, to this woman, my mind we're on a business relationship here." And I said, "Hey, do you recognize this name? I don't even think I said that honestly. Wait a minute. I said, I have so and so with me. They would like to say this, this, and this." And I did it that way because I was nervous, and nervous about my situation and then nervous about what was happening. So I I just put it out there. Like, here it is. I'm handing it over. And obviously the look on her face was just, it said it all. Yes, she knew it was a brother who had passed. And the message was, it wasn't a long message, but she did listen, and all the facts were there, the evidence was there. And we just looked at each other, both of us shocked. Me, like, that was a good one. That was a clear message. And why now? Just in this weird timing, like out in the driveway, deciding, you know, about this house and everything. And then her not expecting this, but there was this moment of, should I? Shouldn't I? We have to use that discernment, right? And something just, we we have that as mediums, something just comes right through, either with a full-blown push or something undeniable to say it's divine time, whether it's their time or our time. And it worked out. Long story, let's make this shorter, right? This was a deciding factor in the purchasing deal, with my house. Like I said, I didn't meet all the criteria, but when I had brought that through, she had shared it with a family member, and it was just like, okay, I don't know, but okay, you got the deal. You got the deal. So these, yeah, the guidance that we personally get as mediums from them is so profound. It's all the time. So we know that we differentiate. We've had to work hard on differentiating imagination versus message. And now you explain it a lot better than me. Do you want to talk a little bit about our clairs and how we receive this information?
Sure, absolutely. And while you were describing that fabulous story, I had this image of her guides, their guides, the family, working with your guides, going, okay, how can we create this deal? And so they give you this message to deliver to her. So it's like this beautiful square with the two different guidance teams in one corner and you and she down at the bottom corner. So I really love that story. Thank you.
Hmm.
So with the Claires, um, uh, for our listeners, that's Claire, French word meaning clear. And we mainly think of clairvoyance when we're discussing this at first. And voyer is another French word meaning to see. So clairvoyance means clear seeing. And this pertains to the type of ability that someone might have. Just like in schools, we have different learning styles. Some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic. So each of us with our extrasensory perceptions also have predominant styles as well. So someone with clairvoyance might get messages and images through dreams. they might meet someone for the first time and have a movie snippet flash in front of their eyes about this person's life. So it's a way of using your visual acuity, your visual sixth sense to ascertain information. And then, of course, we have clairaudience, which would be clear hearing, clear olfactory, clear smelling, clear cognizance, where you just know something, you don't know how you know it, but you just do. And then clear senses, which is the empathy, as well as when your body receives those signals as messages.
Now,
Yeah.
we were that's a big one. So for everyone, Deborah and I were together last night, and after our time together, Deb, I didn't get to share this with you. I, I left. I went out to start cooking dinner, and when I walked out into my home, it was quiet, and I started feeling this tingling in the back of my neck, and for me, that's a unusual sign that they're here, but it is like this tickle tingling, and I started feeling that, and then a little bit of popping in my ears, and then the sound, like a radio is playing in the background, a sound like there is like someone left the TV on in the other room. And this has happened before, whether it sounds like even a baseball game or a party, something like that. Now, I'm not tuned in yet to be able to listen, I guess, to make out what's being said. I'm not really sure what's happening. So I'd really like to ask you, with this clairaudience, it is clairaudience, but the clairaudience in the situation of where it sounds like something like that, what is your experience, or what is your opinion on that? That would be different than our receiving our messages and hearing, sort of from that way.
Yes.
I, yeah, I
And
think it's cool when it happened.
I'm
I don't know.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh no, I just think it's so cool when it happens because it's a supernatural thing that it's wild.
Yes, yes, and I love the supernatural that you're bringing to us. And let me ask you, when you felt the tingling in the back of the neck, did you have a good feeling about it, or any
I,
sense of foreboding?
that's a great question. Um, I had a good feeling. I had a giddy, excited, welcoming, I I knew it. I recognized the feeling, and I said, "Oh, it's happening." Just it was unexpected, but I knew it when it happened. And then when I started to hear that sound coming in and getting louder, I was really excited about it. So I don't know why it only happens to me periodically. And do you know, does it happen to mediums regularly? And is that something that would be developed where we would be able to hear a conversation, or what is that?
Yes, it seems like indeed that would be a case where there was an attempt to contact you uh, for conversation. You did receive that contact, and what I find interesting is that it occurred for you as a as a radio station, and here we are on the radio.
Exactly.
So I'm
I had
wondering
to bring it
if this
up.
was
I
a
had to share.
premonition.
Yeah, it sounds like someone left the radio on in the other room, and I could hear just the snippets of it, enough to hear the radio announcer's voice, like is going on, but not clearly. So that for us, I know, that differentiates between the clairaudience of when we're sitting down doing a session or sharing, messages directly with someone. I receive that hearing, clear hearing, differently. Yeah, not in the sense of hearing something outside of me. This sounded like it was more in the environment, like in the static, in the static in the air around me, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes, it
Yeah.
definitely does. And I was picking up on that staticky feeling. And what you're describing are the various ways that someone might receive messages through clear audience. Sometimes it can be something in the airwaves, as you said. Other times it can be your own internal voice. I've had examples where I've been given a word and then heard the pronunciation of a word, and then there have been times where I've literally had to turn around to say who said that, and I, a big story about that when I was faced with a difficult choice to continue my studies, and I knew I was going to walk out of the college admissions office without signing up to complete my teaching credentials. And I heard this voice because inside I'm going, I can't do this. I can't do this. She gave me a list of things I had to complete, and it felt like this huge parchment scroll unfolded, and I'm like, I can't do this. And I knew I was going to leave and not do it. And I heard this voice behind me go, yes, yes, we can. And I'm like, what? And I turned around, and of course, there's nobody there. And I went back, facing this person, and she's, continuing to speak to me about the requirements. And again, I'm going, I can't do this. And I heard the voice again, even louder. And then I realized that it was, whether we consider it, my higher self or guidance or, spirit or God or, ascended master. I realized that it was something bigger than myself, and that it was a voice and a message to be trusted. And I didn't know how it was going to happen or what was going to happen. I just knew that I needed to move forward step by step with this project. So that's another way that we can experience it. So yes, all kinds of different ways to receive the clear auditory messages.
I love it. And so let's touch upon the signs, the other signs and synchronicities that they send to us. And sometimes even when we're not listening to our physical signs, the the clairs and stuff like that, we're like, no, we have to go. We just shrug it off a little bit, and maybe we're headed in the wrong way. And there's like a sign. Sometimes there's okay, we get in the car, we want to ignore it. Literally, we drive down the road and it's on the billboard. It's on the bill.
Yeah.
It's something like that. So I mean, there's all different variations of that one. For example, I'll say like I heard something, yeah, and then I'm rushing out, and I get to a store, and the person in front of me is like saying it out loud right in front of me. You need to go home and something to someone they're talking to. And I'm like, come on. In a good way, but it's fascinating, right? Right? There's so many of those signs.
Yes.
So what would you want to share about those? Because that's pretty every day, and that's pretty wild.
Yes, I love that. And I can imagine, all your other listeners going, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. So it's really fun talking about this. I definitely love the billboard messages. For about a year, I was working with this one billboard, to put it that way. And every morning on the way to work, I would check the message. And when the advertisement would change with a new message, I knew it was going to be showing up in my life. In this case, it was a particular relationship issue I was working on. And
Oh
so
my God.
not only was it coming in as guidance. I know it was also confirmation. And yeah, I love that. And another thing you made me think of is that there's a way to know whether that message is for us or not. Like, that example where you hear someone else talking, but that message is for you. There's usually for me an almost intangible feeling in the essence around me when that occurs. It's almost like, a dog's ears will perk up to hear a sound that we can't hear. So there's almost like an atmospheric change that gets my attention to know that this message is meant for me, almost like an echo around it. Yeah.
That's a great point. That is such a great point. So this goes beyond woo woo, which is great. I mean, I'm all about that. But this is actually, there's science backed evidence that is now available that shows what the body is picking up. Hey, it's remote viewing. I see something over here that I had no way of seeing. I couldn't have known that. All these different things. So messages pertaining, like messages pertaining to us, and us taking that guidance, like we take the guidance, there it is, there's a result. So it's a bit of a hard phenomenon for me to explain per se, but it, there's definitely a knowing, and it's not just a wishful thinking, it's a definitive knowing. It reminds me of that gut feeling, because that's something that's almost everyone can relate to. So, or chills, if you get chills, about something. um, so yeah, our body is so much more. You talked about it in the beginning. If you had called us a satellite, a human satellite, we pick up so much, or a human antenna, right? We pick up so much through our senses, and we discard most of it because obviously we're walking, living, being people. So we don't want to be so far out there, but there's a lot. And think about it,
Yeah.
when we just talked about like a dog or different animals like that, they sense things from miles away. So that's that's something. That's something else. So thinking about us, um we know that everyone has the ability to tap into extrasensory perception, to expand their reality as we know it. And so, Deborah, as we close this out, what last last message would you like to just share real quick with our listeners out there who are wondering, is this wishful thinking? Deborah, could you sum it up in a few seconds? Is this wishful thinking, or is this woo
Yeah.
woo, or yeah?
Absolutely. And the message loud and clear is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust
That's it.
yourself.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for being on with us
Thank you,
today.
Danny, for
We
having
appreciate
me.
it. And for everyone out there, you can find our information. We'll link it to this, and reach out to us if you want to have a conversation, or if you'd like to schedule a reading with one of us. We're here. We're here to support you. And on that note, be well. See you next week.